It is the second day of March. I just bought a snare drum off of a guy in a grocery store parking lot. Dude was super cool. Typically, guys that meet in parking lots are like weird, but this guy was super cool, knowledgeable, knew a lot about drums. He was a drum nerd, but he wasn't nerdy, if that makes sense. So yeah, super cool guy. And let's check out the snare. And actually, before we check it out, the last time I went to look at a snare drum in a parking lot, it was a Ludwig acrylite. The listing didn't show very good photos, but it said there was a few dents in the shell. So I asked for some photos of the dents. He sent some photos with some little tiny dents in the shell. I was like, okay, cool, I'll buy it. We met in a parking lot. He pulled the drum out, and seriously, someone took a hammer to like half of the shell. It was that bad. He was asking like $100 for it. I offered him like $10, and he's like, nope, screw you, and drove away. All right, so this beast is a 15 by 8 snare. I believe it's a concert snare. I could be wrong, but from the little bit of research I did about 8 seconds ago, I think this is a transition era drum because it has this badge. There's a 60s date stamp on it, and also there is a WFL throw off as well as butt plate on this thing. So Ludwig is pretty famous for, or was pretty famous for, using what they had to complete a drum. So that's why you'll see WFL stuff on Ludwig drums, and why you'll see Imperial lugs on drums that are supposed to have bow tie lugs. So from what I understand, that doesn't make it any more rare. It's just kind of like a thing they did. But the guy I bought it from said that someone painted this. I'm not too sure if that's true or not, because if they did paint it, they did a really good job. Maybe someone could tell me if that's the original air vent or not, because of course they had to take that off to paint it. Also, the paint edges on the bearing edges are pretty clean, so they either did a really good job taping it, or this is a factory color. I'm not too sure about the finishes of this drum. Again, the little bit of research I've done, I haven't seen this color, but actually bought this to use in a video. All the stuff I've bought before, I've realized that I just bought it because it was a good deal. So this is the first drum I bought to actually do something with, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so the luck has kind of turned for the worst. That hi-hat stand that I sold last month, the guy didn't want it because the set screw, or the screw for the cymbal seat, the adjustment thing for it, was missing, which I had no idea. We went back and forth a bunch and decided he didn't want it, so he's sending it back. The interface that I sold, it turns out, doesn't work with the guy's operating system, which, yeah, that's kind of like his issue, and he probably should have checked it before he bought it, but I don't really care. I told him I'd buy it back and I'll sell it online or something, so there's that. I found a used snare drum on Guitar Center site for a killer deal, but I got a new credit card and I was too lazy to go upstairs to get it. So I just paid with PayPal, but it turns out that PayPal declined the order for some reason, and by the time I realized that they did decline it, it already sold, so I missed out on that. And then to continue with the bad luck, I've been trying to find some smaller drawers to organize the studio some. I have all of these, but I'm trying to find some more. So I found a set on eBay for a pretty good price, and it had free shipping on it, so I immediately bought it. It was a buy it now auction. I could have made an offer, but I paid the full price, and then like an hour later, after I paid, the dude messaged me. He was like, oh, hey, shipping wasn't supposed to be free, so I'm just going to cancel the order. So I missed out on that. But I just got these 2 boxes in the mail. Both are snares. One's a complete snare. The other is just a shell. So hopefully I don't get burned on these. First up is this pretty clean Supraphonic shell. I bought this because it was cheap, but also because I bought a pretty bad Supraphonic shell with just horrible pitting on it. So I started to strip the shell on that, but I'm not sure if I'm going to like it or not. So I have this shell. I can slap the hardware onto this if I need. And yeah, it's in pretty good shape. Typically these things are pitted to hell, but this one's in pretty good shape. There's just a little dent right here from the throw off, which every Ludwig snare that I buy seems to have a dent right there. There is some squiggles right here, which tells me that the shell might be a little bit out of round, because typically the heads will leave those kinds of marks on the shell if they are out of round, so we'll check that. And even if it is, it doesn't look that bad. So yeah, that's the first purchase. Okay, so this one I was a little bit skeptical about buying because I wasn't able to see it in person. This was on Craigslist about 2 hours north of me, but I just do not have the time to go up there to buy this thing. I asked the dude if he would ship it. He seemed like he was a cool guy, but still, you never know with Craigslist. So I was like, if I send the money, I feel like this thing is never going to show up. But he seemed trustworthy. He sent me his information and everything. So hopefully the snare drum's in here and it is what it is. Or it is what he says it is. So let's find out together. So first of all, I don't know who designed this case, but it's a pretty bad design. At least if you're one-handed. This is a 14 by 6.5 Rogers Dynasonic. That's right, 6.5, not 5. So there are a few little things that are wrong with this. If I saw this in person, I probably would have talked the dude down a little bit. But the photos on the listing weren't the best. It seems to be a running theme here. But this lug is really chewed up. That tension rod, it's not the worst. What else? It's missing the felt on the muffler. The rims, the batter rim, is kind of chewed up right there. But these aren't the original rims, I don't think. At least I hope they're not. The snares are kind of trash. It's missing the snare frame and the bottom rim isn't correct. But there's a few things I want to check before I get too excited. These snares say made in Taiwan, which they've probably been replaced, so that's not a huge deal. The rims also say made in Taiwan somewhere. Yeah, you can see Taiwan right there. And the only reason that's like alarming to me is they made these drums in Taiwan also, but they were chrome over steel, not chrome over brass. So those had different mufflers. This is a Rogers muffler. Also, the throw off says made in USA. Same thing with the butt plate, Rogers USA. So I'm pretty sure this is a chrome over brass shell. So the best way to find out is to use a magnet, because magnets don't stick to brass, but they do stick to steel. So we find a magnet and test it out. This is a Meinl cymbal tuner, which is just a big magnet with some rubber on it. So this is a steel shell, and it sticks right to it. And here is a chrome over brass shell. Typically magnets do stick a little bit to it, but not like a steel shell. You'll see it really sticks on to anything steel, while the brass, the chrome over brass, it barely sticks on because of the way they plate it. There's a thin layer of some metal that is slightly magnetic, so that's why they barely stick to it. So now let's go to this room and see what's up. That is a chrome over brass shell. You saw it can't even hold its own weight and it immediately sticks to the steel. So again, this is steel and this is brass. Maybe 2 years ago, I bought these roto-toms from some guy. I bought them because they were cheap. They came complete, but I took them apart for some reason. I have the rail and everything. But I asked the dude if he had anything else for sale, so I bought some little hardware and mounting stuff, as well as another set of roto-toms with 2 drums on them, but I just traded those for these, which are D-drum octobans. These are 6-inch octobans, 12-inch depth and 14-inch depth, I think. And I figured that, you know, I'd play these more than the roto-toms. I have never used the roto-toms. I used them once in the Drumeo series that I did, just as like a demonstration sort of thing. But yeah, I figured I'd get more use out of these than the roto-toms. These memory locks just sold. These were like the first thing I ever posted on Reverb, and they finally sold. No more stupid memory locks. So let me package these up and see how much I made. She is all packaged up, and I am $10.34 richer. And here we have another box. This is from Guitar Center. I bought this used. Seemed like a fair price, so let's check it out. Alright, well, I was just interrupted from this unboxing because I sold some hi-hats. Someone called me this morning and was like, oh, hey, do you still have those hi-hats? I can meet you around 5:30. You know, are you free? I'm like, yeah, sure. Just let me know when you're on the way and I'll send you the address. But he was like, oh, I'm actually on a landline. I don't have a cell phone. I'll be leaving from work. So, yeah, so I kind of forgot because I'm so used to people being like, oh, hey, is 5:30 still cool? Or, hey, I'm 10 minutes away. So I kind of forgot. But thankfully I have a doorbell. I used to not have a doorbell, and I had some Ludwigs listed for sale, and a guy came, knocked on the door. I was down here. I couldn't hear the door. So he texted me, but sure enough, my phone was full. I had no room left on it. So I was going through deleting videos. So once I deleted everything and had more space on my phone, I saw that he had texted me, so I ran outside. Sure enough, he was gone. So I called him, texted him, and he was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm not interested anymore." So I guess he got sketched out and just dipped. So moral of the story, get a doorbell. And by the way, the hi-hats, I got them for free, and I sold them for 20 bucks, so free money. This is a Pearl Sensitone Elite snare with the aluminum shell. If you followed my channel for any amount of time, you know I don't really own a lot of Pearl stuff. So this is like the first real Pearl drum that I've owned. I do have this pink kit, which is a wood fiberglass kit that's been rewrapped. Has all new hardware on it. And also this Pearl Jupiter. I had a second one, but I sold it. So yeah, I honestly haven't played a lot of Pearl stuff. I think the only time I really have played anything Pearl was at Casey's studio. So I saw this. The reason I bought it was it's an aluminum shell. It's 10 lugs. It has the beefy super hoops. And it has a muffler also, which kind of surprised me. But more importantly, though, is it's in really good shape. Okay, so like I said in the beginning of this video, it's March. It's currently the middle of March, and the world is a very different place right now. So not many people are buying or selling stuff. The local classifieds are completely dead, which I totally understand. Not many people are buying or selling. I did sell the case that came with the Rogers Dynasonic. I sold that for 20 bucks, so that basically covered the shipping. So this box came in, and I guess let's open it. Can never be too safe. Oh god, that's strong. Alright, so here we have a bunch of bells. Kind of ashamed to say what I paid for all these, but then again, considering everything that's in here, let's count first. So there's basically 18 to 20 of these. There's a few of these bigger clusters of bells, which I could probably break up into two because these are kind of densely packed. And then there's a bunch of these smaller ones that use rope. They're just tied together. A bunch of them are kind of tangled together though. So my thought was to kind of make a little hi-hat kind of thing with these. Kind of use, make a little ring like these, and then put a couple bells on them. And like I said, these are kind of dense right now, but they might sound kind of cool how they are. Yeah, so first of all, I'll need to make the loop bigger to go around the clutch. And then also, like I said, these are kind of densely packed, so they don't really jingle as much. So yeah, I don't know. I'll see what I can do with these. My thought was to make something and then keep a few for myself and then sell the rest to you guys, since the trend these days is to use weird things on your hi-hats. And I must say, having this card cabinet thing is very convenient, so if you have a bunch of junk, definitely look at getting one of these. Alright, it's the end of the month. Nothing really exciting has happened, which, what do you expect? Got my fresh quarantine buzz going on. It's the first time I've cut my own hair in like 10 years. But I did sell a floor tom. Someone hit me up on Instagram asking if I had a 16-inch floor tom, which I bought this thing for like 30 bucks because I thought I could use it for parts, but I ended up not needing them, so I just had it sitting around, so I sold that for $50. A little easy 20 bucks. My buddy randomly gave me a Yamaha Recording Custom bass drum spur and was like, okay, now what are you going to give me? I was like, I don't really need this, but here, take this. So I gave him a 13-inch rims mount, which I didn't know those bass drum spurs were so expensive, so I'll probably give him something else. I just gotta find something that he might like and might use. And then last, I think it was 2 videos ago, I showed that Imperial Star snare that my buddy bought. I ended up buying that from him because I have a few other Imperial Star snares that I want to compare it to. And basically, whichever one I like the best, I'll keep, and then the rest I'll sell. And I'm pretty sure that's everything, so that wraps up the March buy-sell trade saga. Who knows what will happen next month, but I guess we'll find out together, so I'll see you then.